Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight to our photography workshop featuring Joe Lease. My name is Jennifer Jones, and I am a member of the Birmingham Village Players and the current chair of our programming committee, and I will be your moderator for tonight. As you all know, live theater has taken quite a hit during this pandemic, and we will keep theater alive on our hashtag Theater Thursdays. A few times a month, we will present things on Thursdays on YouTube for you to enjoy, and that's usually at 7 p.m. To keep updated on these events, please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just click that subscribe button right down there on the screen. And you can also sign up for reminders for upcoming previews. We also have a few shows up our sleeves for the fall. We're going to be doing Bells on September 25th and 26th, and that is a story of 6 sisters and how on the phone they tried to bridge the physical and emotional distance between them. Tenderly on October 16th and 17th, and that is a musical about Rosemary Clooney. And Buyer and Seller on November 13th and 14th, and that is a one-man hilarious comedy about a man down on his luck, fired from Disneyland, and ends up landing a job curating Barbara Streisand's basement, hence the word seller. One final VP item. You can also buy tickets for those shows coming up on our website. And if you would like to donate to us, there are 2 ways to do that. One on our website, which is www.birminghamvillageplayers.com, or by the PayPal link, which you'll find right down below your screen there on this page. Now, getting to our program, you will notice on your screen a chat feature that you can use throughout the workshop. Please feel free to type in now what city you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you. And at any time during our program, you can type in questions for Joe. We'll get to those during the presentation, and then we'll also get to those at the end. Right now, I'd like to introduce to you Joe Lease. Joe has been a member of the Village Players since the 1992-93 season, when he was talked into writing sound for Dangerous Liaisons. And in the 93-94 season, he learned theater lighting by assisting in the lighting Lettuce and Lovage. Joe has a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from Northern Michigan University, and he has been the photographer for over 85 Village Players shows, and he's also worked on several other projects for Players. He's been the lighting designer on many shows, including Music Man, Noises Off, and A Man for All Seasons. When time permits, Joe has been on stage in A Few Good Men, Cyrano, and Jesus Christ Superstar. And without further ado, I introduce to you Joe Lease.
Hey,
welcome,
Jen.
Joe.
Hi.
Great to see you.
Good seeing you.
Thanks. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. And I'm sure we've got some photographers out there. Ooh, from Troy, Rochester. So, Joe, some questions for you, if you don't mind. We'll kind of start off that way.
Okay.
Besides the little bit that we heard about you in the intro, what else can you tell us about your background in photography?
Well, the way I got into photography was I've always been interested in movies. I'm a movie-holic. I love movies. And my first job in the 70s, my very first job was working at Showcase Cinema in Pontiac. And that's when we only had 2 theaters. So they would hold on to movies for months. So I would watch these movies over and over and over again. And so it wouldn't get boring. I started to analyze how they put the shot together, looked at the lighting, got to know who the cinematographers were, and got really interested in that. So when it came to, and it was something I really loved, so when I decided to go to college, I wanted to be a cinematographer. I wanted to make these movies. Unfortunately, I didn't have the budget to pay for all that processing and all that film. So I thought, well, let me become a really good photographer, then I can ease into the cinematography. The main thing is getting the shot right to begin with, understanding lighting and that. So I did that. So I went and got my fine arts degree in photography from Northern Michigan, which I really enjoyed. I mean, I really got a lot out of it, made some great friends. And then I left there, got my first job. I graduated in 85. I didn't go to college right away, so I graduated in 85. And The first job I got a job within a couple of months, which was
Really?
really I was very happy about. Processing film for a company that does business presentations, where you'd shoot slides. Those of you who remember what slides are, they'd have a bank of like 12 projectors, and they put all the slides in a certain order. It'd be all computerized, and it would just go boom, 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 and for these presentations go like that, and it actually made animation. So I thought that was pretty cool. That's kind of what I was getting into, kind of learning some new things. A couple months after that, they came to me and says, "Well, we got this new thing we're getting into, and we were wondering if you'd like to learn it. It's called computer graphics." I said, "Yeah, I'll be." Back then, learn anything you can. So I got it. I went through a course through management graphics, which I believe now they do all the processing for Pixar films. Okay. So that's kind of cool. I didn't do anything with Pixar. I was just learning how to do this, and it was real basic. I mean, it was way back in the Stone Age where you couldn't even make a curve. You had to put dot, 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 or put a circle and put 2 points, and sometimes it didn't line up. So I really learned from the beginning. So I was doing real well there. I was, eventually, and then they came in with this big animation camera, which they would shoot, and we could do things with that. And when they got that, along comes the operator we got, Holly Helston, who everybody at Village Players knows Holly Conroy now. And that's how I met Holly. It was back 30 some years ago. And so they trained me to do that so that Holly could have a day off. And eventually Holly left there, and I became the full-time. And then I went to another company. They sold the same projector. The same camera. I followed the camera to 3 different other companies. I was head of production, not head of production, but production supervisor at one company, and did a lot of presentations. While doing this, I thought I would go into, try my hand at being a cinematographer. So I got an internship with a company out of, I believe, Novi or Farmington Hills. They actually were the people who rented Panavision and Arriflex cameras. And I learned those cameras. I actually set up, helped get the cameras ready for Die Hard 2, which is kind of dating it. So
really,
well, that was really cool. Yeah,
great movie though.
Because I love that movie. It's my favorite now. Not really. The first one's my favorite. The second one I like a lot because it's like I could have touched that camera. So because they were up in Alpena shooting. And then I did a couple other things. Working at night on weekends, doing some assistant. Being an assistant or something. And I saw that the cinematographers didn't seem that happy. They seemed a little grumpy, and they just weren't. They was like, okay, this is. And I really loved what I was doing. I was making good money. So I kind of abandoned the cinematography side to be a full-time cinematographer and work all in photography. Really wanted to get more into photography and the graphic design part too, the computer stuff.
Nice.
9/11 happened. I was in a company. We were doing probably the best year we had ever done. 9/11 happened, and the bottom fell out of everything. Nobody was doing presentations. Everybody was just frozen. Company pretty much folded because of that. I mean, I was let go at the end of the year. So in 3 months, I was let go. So I decided, okay, I'm going to be a freelancer. Possibility came up that a friend of mine was working for J.D. Power and Associates, and they needed a photographer. So I put an offer in, a bid in for this job, and so I got that bid, and I shot all the executives at J.D. Power. And that was kind of the start of my freelance career, and I've been doing that ever since.
That's awesome, Joe. Hey, so you've told us all about your background, but we don't know how exactly you got started shooting shows for Village Players.
Holly got me. Yeah, she got me involved. I was trying to make friends and start a social life, and she got me to do a small part in Kiss Me Kate at another theater in our area. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun. That was, that was the first play I ever did. And then she got me involved with Players doing the sound. They asked me if Barbara Underwood needed somebody to do sound for Liaison. I said, sure, I'll do that. And that kind of, and from there, it's been kind of, I went there. Then I had this photography background. It's like, well, I can shoot these things. That was back in film time. So we were shooting film. We had another guy doing it, but he was a little older. So he was about to retire from it. So I just, kind of took over and started taking a lot of pictures.
Got it. And it's also a pretty fun gig, I've got to imagine, right, Joe?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get to see all the shows. I mean, some of them I don't care for, but then I just figure, okay, I'm going to do this shoot. It's very good for, I get a lot of freedom. Generally, at Village Players, it's community theater. I get to experiment. I'll go to the producer before I start shooting is, what do you want? How do you want me to shoot this? You want in black and white? You want, and those, usually they just go, whatever you want. It's like, okay, there's some directors have a specific idea, and that's fine. I like to be directed. But generally, I've been that. Yeah.
Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
No, it's just, it gives me a lot of freedom to try new things, and I love that. That's really helped my photography.
I was going to say, going along with that, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered shooting shows for Village Players? And I'm not talking people, I'm talking photographs.
Because I could make a list. No. Generally, the biggest change was back when we switched from film to digital. And that was actually a great thing. Because originally, what I would do is shoot a bunch of pictures. I'd use like 3 or 4 rolls of film, which is probably 200 pictures tops. And then print all those out, make a book, and people go, I want that picture, I want that picture, I want that picture. And then I'd have to reorder them, and it became a mess. So when digital came along, and then another big problem was that you'd shoot it and you don't know if it turned out because you can't see. With digital, I'll take a picture, I'll look at it and go, well, that didn't work, and I can see what to do to fix it. And I can put, now what I do, and I've been doing for several years, is I'll shoot some shows, non-musicals, usually I get between 200 and 300 pictures. Musicals I can get from 300 to 600 pictures. And I'll put those, I'll go through and get rid of all the really crappy ones. But I'll usually end up with at least 400 for a musical. And with the cast picture. And I'll put that on a disc, or now I do it with thumb drives, and sell those for like 20, 25 bucks a piece. And you'll get all, virtually the entire show. And people really seem to like that a lot.
So I'm sure we're going to have some actors out there that have done shows when you're the photographer, Joe, and they may have thought, oh my gosh, I didn't get that CD with those photos on there.
Yeah.
To get a copy of that, can they just reach out to you? Or
yeah, reach out. I'm not sure what I've got anymore, because I've been trying to cull all my shows, because a lot of them I just have on, I've lost some hard drives and things, so hopefully I've got it. I've got, quite a few shows still here, so I would look it up. Yeah, I try to find something.
And do you want to plug your website right now, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy website to remember. It's www.joelease.com. That's JOELEASE, like leasing a car.
That's pretty easy to remember, I would say. Yep. So going back to the Village Players questions, what do you enjoy most about being VP's photographer? And I'm going to add a little tag to this one. Are there any shows that were extremely difficult to shoot, and why?
And you were in it.
I was in it.
You were in it.
So what do you enjoy most first?
Because it was actually the first straight show that I straight show. It was a musical, Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh.
And luckily I had digital, but that was a very, very dark show. And not only that, I shot that show at a rehearsal. So the backdrop wasn't done yet. We didn't have all costumes, but I didn't know better by then. And I didn't have the chutzpah just to say, no, I'll come back later. I just wanted to shoot it. So I shot it with a big white board that's, eventually got painted and stuff, but it was very dark, and I didn't understand how fast I should do the shutter and how much light I could get away with. So it turned out to be either really dark or with motion blurs and stuff like that. I mean, that you learn. I mean, that's why you make mistakes, you know.
So what do you enjoy most about being Village Players photographer, Joe?
Oh, there's a lot of things I like the creativity. I can try a bunch of things. There's a lot of, I've known these people for most of them for many, many years. So it's easy to, come up to them and get some ideas and try something new and stuff. But the creative part is my favorite. And the shows themselves have gotten a little boring for me. Not so much that the shows are boring, but I stand in the back during hopefully a rehearsal, but usually it's like, some matinee or something. And I'll shoot. I'm very conscious that I'm making noise. It's going ka-chink, ka-chink every time I hit the button. It sounds like it echoes, but it doesn't. And then, so I worry about annoying people. But basically, these are beautiful shows. The lighting, the lighting is already set. The where the people are standing, what they look like, their emotions. I have nothing to do but point and shoot. Basically I compose a picture, I'll compose a shot, but I don't have to worry about lighting. I don't have to worry about their motivation or anything. So I just, that's the easy part. And it's easy, but it gets kind of like, okay, get through this. I like doing the cast pictures are always fun, especially if it's a big cast, because I can like push them around, say, you over there, you over there. But I'm pretty good at setting up people and just moving people around, making it look like a good cast picture. And then the lobby shots are really where I have a lot of fun because I try all sorts of new different things. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But I really enjoy doing the portraits.
Nice. Joe, Tanya out there has a question for you, if I could ask that right now. How has the new lighting system at Village Players, I know we got that just a couple seasons ago, if I recall correctly, how has that lighting system affected your photography?
Really not much.
Not much. Okay.
No, because we're getting better lighting. We're getting faster cues. We are doing, a lot of stuff. The colors are great because I'll shoot something that looks kind of a purplish, and when I shoot it, it records blue. So I got to be a little bit careful about stuff like that. But really, they're doing all the work with the lighting, and you'll see some of my pictures where the lighting's really kind of cool, and it's really red or really blue, or there's gobos and stuff. It's they're doing the work. I'm just taking credit for it.
Nice. And I'm going to ask you one more question here about Village Players, and then maybe we could segue into some photos that you'd like to share.
Lots and lots of photos.
Okay, so this last one about Village Players is, do you have any favorite shows that you've shot? Like, what were some of your favorites at Village Players that stand out in your mind?
Well, musicals are always a lot of fun to shoot. I really enjoy the musicals. The non-musical, because they're colorful and they're, a lot of movement. Straight shows, especially something like Virginia Woolf or something. It's very static. They're, you can take certain shots. Okay, these two are together. Now this guy's over here, and now we got this. But there's only a limited amount that I can really do with those. Musicals, there's always something going on. There's always some sort of drama or some sort of color or some sort of So, my favorite, for lighting one time I did Noises Off. I think that's the first time we did Noises Off.
Great show.
I'd never seen it before. And there are certain shows that you enjoy going to every time it's played. There's not a lot of them where I can see 12 times, and I enjoyed it every time. I enjoyed that one, nice. Sweet and Hot, which was Harold Arlen's review, which he wrote Somewhere Over the Rainbow. He wrote a ton of great stuff. And I could listen to that all day. So the really, enjoyable. There's been some that have just, it's fun to be on the headset and talking about stuff. So it's fun that way. But for shooting, I really enjoyed shooting the last one, Shakespeare in Love. I did some experimenting, and I've got the picture here. The headshots, I love. Some people didn't like them. I really loved them. They're really two-toned, and they're, very cool pictures. I'll show you when I come.
We actually have a question about that, Joe, from Noel. He wants to know, he said, Shakespeare in Love had very saturated lighting colors and high dynamic range. Was that a challenge at all?
No, usually for me, I like poppy colors. I like really bright, like your background. It's really blue and really, vibrant. I like that. Um, I don't do a lot of aftermarket, go in and change colors and stuff. When I shoot everything, I try to shoot it just maybe a half a stop dark so I can bring it up and do a little bit of stuff. But the lighting stays saturated. If it was saturated, I want it to be saturated. I want to be a representation of what the play was.
Nice. Well, with that being said, why don't we go into seeing a few of your photos that you've taken, if that's all right?
All right. Let's see if I can find it now.
Fantastic.
Let's see. Do you see it? Do you see a gray blotch? Okay.
We see a gray blotch right now. It's coming. There we go. So, hey, a shout out to Noel Montalis, our techie behind the scenes right now. Noel, thanks for everything that you're doing. We appreciate it. All right, Joe, looks like you've got Shakespeare in Love up.
Yeah, this was kind of the play that was kind of, handicapped because Corona, they were about to go in, they were in production. We were about to start the run. And unfortunately, we got Corona. So they never got a performance. I mean, they got their own performances, but it was really not shown to anybody. So
yeah, I think we got through that first weekend, and that was it. It was tight.
Yeah, I didn't even know we got through a first weekend. That's great that somebody
did the first weekend
because it was beautiful. It was a beautiful show. So I'm going to go through these real quick. I've got 3 or 4 of a couple of different ones. So here's
great. We'd love to see them.
I've got the name underneath. This is Shakespeare in Love, and you can see the saturation there. Their faces are a little bit yellow. Generally, I think it looks pretty clean. Okay. So these
go a little
are
bit
really
slower with those shows if you could.
Okay. I got a lot to go through.
Thanks. That way we can look at them for a few seconds because I know there's some people that want to see lighting and actually if they know anybody in the show, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and see themselves, which is what I always do. So this is, I mean, if you're familiar with the movie, it follows the movie real well. And Holly did just a wonderful job with the singing and everything. But I mean, it's good drama and it was really well acted. It was really a crime that they didn't have more people being able to see it. And I understand Noel did the lighting, so that's why it's so good.
I was just going to say, I just thought of that. I believe Noel did do the lighting for that show. So Noel, 2 shout outs today. Look at that.
This has got a little bit more of a magenta cast to it. This is from the end of Romeo and Juliet when they're doing Romeo and Juliet.
That's a great action shot, though.
And let's see, what do we got next? This is Holly being very humble about having to not show her show. And the next one is Sweeney Todd. Now, like I said, there's a lot of musicals in here. Sweeney Todd was a lot of fun to shoot because I was able to. Now, can you see my arrow here so I can point things? Oh?
Yes, we can, Joe.
Okay, so I can point things out. If you look right here, I did a little treatment here with, it looks like an old, and I put blood in here. I mean, that was a fun show. I've got a little bit dark sense of humor. And this was, I mean, they did all the work. I just had to point it in the right direction, get close up and go, okay, that's a good picture. And that's
great costumes in that one too.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And that chair was a nightmare, I remember, for them to make it work so that people didn't get hurt.
I love, though, that even though it's so dark, like that photo is incredible, Joe.
Well,
I mean, you made lighting work for you.
It's very, very similar to Jekyll and Hyde, but the difference between Jekyll and Hyde and this show is I knew what I was doing. And I had my ideas of what exposures, what my shutter speed, what my ISO and all that. I knew that now. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. I learned everything I learned through mistakes. And I like this because they pumped in some fog so you could see the lighting on that one.
Nice shot.
Let's see. Now we're getting into Barefoot in the Park. Now this is a straight show. This is the Neil Simon straight show, and this is got some interesting. They did do some interesting things in this. Generally, it's just a talking, back and forth, but I think there's only 5 people in the whole show, but you get the idea of what it is, and
Right.
And that's Rachel Wisely. I believe it's her birthday today, so happy birthday, Rachel.
Oh, there you go. Shout out.
Now, this is what was interesting here, is that they put a skylight up here. And I tried to get that, and that actually did kind of work okay. I think that's the last one of that. Yep. Now Sunset Boulevard. This is a Michael Gravami. So those are always big deals. They're always over the top, great costume, great sets. And so I got a few of these. Now this is what I was saying about that I like to do cast pictures. There's a ton of people here, and I was able to figure out where to get everybody to make it look like a good, cast picture. And very warm, very warm colors in this. With her monkey, which I never got.
Gotta love.
And that was a nice shot. Sometimes you just get a nice shot.
Beautiful.
I try to go to the show before I shoot it so I can see what's coming up, but a lot of times I live in Rochester and Birmingham's kind of far to go sometimes. So sometimes I go cold and just go by the seat of my pants. This is Miracle Worker. This was, I think, last year.
This past season.
This past season, yeah. I know. But I wanted to show how they broke up. You got something over here, and then we got this area, but they filled it with blue, so that was kind of nice.
Joe, any issues with shooting some shows that have a busier set? Carl in Rochester Hills wants to know.
Sometimes you got to be careful. A lot of that comes down to lighting. The lighting has to be able to separate the people from the background. So usually it's not a big problem, but sometimes I do a very shallow depth of field, and that can be really tricky. Depth of field is how much out of focus something is from, if you have something goes out of focus right away. I like to shoot that way because it separates the subject. But if you don't have if you don't have the focus in the right spot, your subject's out of focus, and that can be a problem. Another musical. But yeah, a lot of times the set tells me how I'm going to set up the my cast picture. And this is not, I like it when we go to a black background where it's well lit, that, it separates, it's really a focus. It looks like it was a staged photograph.
Mm-hmm.
And musicals are always great because there are people with their hands up and dancing and stuff. I mean, you get a lot of motion blur if you don't watch it, but if you get it right, it's really nice.
How do you cut down on that motion blur, Joe?
You set a faster shutter speed, so the shutter is open for a shorter amount of time. The problem with that is that you need more light then, so you have to ISO up, or your aperture has to go up, or something. You have to make a bigger aperture, or you have to do something, but you have to make that the aperture go like that instead of tick tick, because in that time something moves. So you got to And it took me several years to really figure that out. And I still have problems with it sometimes. Now, this one's a little different. This is Man for All Seasons. I did the lighting for this show.
Oh, nice.
And because I did the lighting, I'm running the board. I can't be on the floor shooting. I usually shoot at floor level, audience level. These were shot from the lighting booth.
Really?
Yeah. So I was because once you hit the cue, once you got the lighting on, you hit the cue, and then you've got nothing to do for a few seconds. I go click, 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 and this was a really good show. But I mean, I kind of like that I'm looking down a little bit. You see a lot more of the stage. You can see, downstage. You can see all the way up stage real well, but normally you don't see that in my pictures.
Right.
Brighton Beach. And this was another, I mean, it's a Neil Simon talkie play. So you kind of had to pick your moments. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see how flat I am against this. I mean, that's straight across. If I were up in the booth, I'd be shooting down and it'd be completely different. But this is an interesting thing where you have the lighting here and the lighting here. He's a little bit in the dark here, but he's usually over here. And that's the problem. One of the problems I have with shooting these things, because the lighting could be very dim right here, or even dark blue or something, and he'll show up real bright, and they'll be, you know, so I only have a certain latitude that I can play with as far as the darkest and the lightest that I can go by. Otherwise, I'm going to have to choose, okay, I'm going to focus on this. Otherwise, the other one's you're not going to see the other one. Camelot. I had to put Camelot. This is one of Holly's big ones.
Yeah.
And this had some beautiful, I think I've got a couple extra pictures in this because this was a real fun one to shoot because it had some, like I said, you did the work. I just pointed the camera in these.
Right.
You know, I love that picture.
Beautiful.
And here you see some of the things that you deal with, I mean, you've got gels, you've got colors, you've got gobos, and it looks pretty cool. You know, when you shoot it right, when you get the good exposure on this, it looks really nice. And very saturated red here, but I mean, I would have liked to have seen a little flash of, you know, white light on him just to have him stand out, but I didn't design it. I have no qualms about how they lit it. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Another straight show. This one has a little bit more action in it. There's Tony. I think he was the Indian.
Love the lighting there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a couple of them that have just straight down shots. It separates the subject. I love it when we do that. Straight shows can have some interesting pictures too. I mean, this is a good dramatic. You know, I've got when I shot this, I went bang, bang, bang. So I got him actually taking the pillow, and then this is probably for this kind of thing. I wanted to show him. I didn't want to put the pillow over his face.
Right.
Okay, this is the last play that I'm going to show, full play.
Okay.
But I've got a bunch of other stuff. But this was like I said, having fun with different kinds of ways of processing and, you know, presenting. This was the cast picture.
Great.
And at the end of this, I'll show you how I did this.
It almost looks like a painting, which is pretty.
Well, that's
neat.
what I'm going for. That's been kind of what I've been going towards now with my work is illustrations and paintings. And I'll show you a bunch of those. So this was.
Hey, Joe, Sue out there from Royal Oak wants to know if you ever had to photograph a show that you are actually in, and did you get any shots?
No.
No. Okay.
Yes,
you never had the privilege of doing both.
I remember, that I've been in a couple of shows. No, I can't do both. I told somebody, just put a mirror out there and I'll just shoot it from the stage, but I can't do that.
Can't do it. All right.
Yeah.
There you go, Sue.
Now, the previous shot, I always like the lighting on that. I mean, that's a beautifully lit, you know, picture. This was a great production. I mean, if you see over here, look at the lighting and look at the detail of this over here. I mean, I just love the lighting on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is kind of showing how I did that painting effect. This is Mark, and first thing I did, I got up on a ladder, got a real wide lens, and shot him like this, and just took that picture. Then I cut him out of the background, because you can see people in the background there getting ready. I'm going to shoot them later.
Okay.
Then I cut him out, put him on white. I do some manipulation to make him look like a illustration. You know, I bring up the shadows, bring down the highlights. I do all sorts of fancy things, which I won't bore you with.
Wow.
And then I take that and I go through a program and actually make it a painting, and I actually paint it. I mean, it's not just I push a button and it does it. I have to go in there and, you know, actually paint him in. And then do that about 20 more times.
Wow. So how long does it take, or did it take you to do a cast shot like this?
This one took quite a while, but it was it was kind of, I did it because I love doing this. I mean, it's not work if you're enjoying it.
It turned out great. This
one was, took me 10 hours, maybe more, maybe. Once I figured out how to do it, it was pretty easy. But doing the first one, but I mean, you look at this and you look here. I mean, I love these faces. I mean, just look at the faces.
They are great.
It's just, I love this picture, if I say so myself.
Good job, Joe.
This is some of my early stuff, very early, when I was just getting into doing the posters. And so this is Dancing at Lunasa and Corpse. And just trying, I mean, at the time I was doing a lot with filters and stuff, and I was just learning how to do Photoshop at the time. This one right here, I learned about masking and different things with that. And now, I mean, a lot of that stuff is second nature to me now, but back then I was just thought I was being amazing. You know, this is really cool. And then here's Cyrano. Now I didn't shoot any of it, but I used somebody else's photos for that. This one is interesting. This was for Steve Roberts, and he was doing Planet Against Sam, which is based on, you know, the Woody Allen play and movie, and it's kind of the Bogart. And I saw the cast and everything. I thought of Casablanca. I love the poster. I love movie posters, especially old 60s movie posters. Okay. So I wanted to recreate that, and I think I did a decent job. I didn't want to sepia. He could have been a little bit bigger, but I mean, anything I do, I can see that I could make changes. But I think this turned out really nice. I was really happy with that one. There you are.
There's a great shot.
That's Kiss Me Kate.
The reverse of Kiss Me Kate.
Well, in the play, if you're not familiar, in the play, the lead actor takes his wife and spanks her at the end of Act 1. And so I wanted to do a little twist on it, just to make it politically correct or whatever, you know, just show the difference. So I had you sitting. I love it. That was a lot of fun. And then I did basically the same thing with these two. These guys were not there when I shot that. Remember, I've got the stills, and I dropped them in there. So I love that. I mean, if there's a project that I'm really interested in, I'll put a lot of extra effort in. And this was from, I think you can guess, Inherit the Wind. And this is another one that I set this one up, and it turned out much better than I thought it was going to. It looks like a painting, and it's just, I really like how all three actors are lined up the way they are. He's looking at him, he's looking at him, and it's just I mean, I really like how that turned out. This is from Sweet Charity. And she just hit that pose once, and it was just a cool pose, and it just showed the joy of the show, you know. Hair was a lot of fun. I put a lot of extra effort in hair. Because it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people, a lot of friends in that show. I knew a lot of people, and I could try different things with that. And I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, I think
directed by Carl and Steve.
The what?
That was directed by Carl and Steve.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing I like about this, he's jumping up. That looks really cool. Dan, I think he looks like a Mort Drucker drawing from Mad Magazine in this picture. I mean, this is production that, I mean, the producer asked me, the director and producer asked me to do for lobby shots, just a little bit of who they are in the show. And this was the producer. So I got her signing a check, and everybody's asking her for money, which was, I thought, kind of fun.
Great idea.
Maureen. I love this picture of Maureen. I think this is for Regrets. And I was trying all sorts of fun stuff with that, doing my, you know, illustration picture, and that I think that really shows. I mean, look at her eyes. I mean, they just sparkle. This is what I'm really trying to get more people to shoot something like this. I would love to be making, doing this for clients. Is it looks like an oil painting.
Yes.
And this is for how to succeed in business. That's Mark.
Great shot.
Yeah, that was, I mean, he's the big boss.
And he played bigly.
Oh yeah, he played it real big.
Mm-hmm.
This is Holly. This is a personal favorite of mine because Holly was doing a play called Wit, which is about someone who develops cancer and her hair is gone. So she did a promotional thing where, and I've got the pictures, I couldn't find them for this, where she actually shaved her head for the play. So I thought, well, if she's doing that big of a deal that she's probably never going to do again, I want to get a good portrait of her doing it, and I think that's a really nice portrait of her without hair. This is the one I was talking about earlier for Shakespeare, that I've got a duotone. I just think, and I've got people not looking at the camera, they're looking off, the side. I just love that look. I mean, I just think that's really, really nice.
Yes.
This is a really nice picture. I did some things that looks like an illustration, a black and white illustration. This, I didn't shoot lighting for, this is Anything Goes. I didn't do the lighting for it, but I came in and I said, I'm going to take some pictures. And I got this picture, which is really kind of nice. I kind of like how that turned out. This is I did this for Alan, and this isn't for players, but I really liked, this is for 39 Steps at St. D's. I just liked how I did the same thing. I got up on a ladder, shot down, and you can see, their heads are huge and their feet are real small. The perspective is really kind of fun. Okay, the next are some of my own personal photographs that have nothing to do with the theater. So this was, lately I've been shooting West Bloomfield Lifestyle magazine, and this is I shot this for the cover for the magazine.
Wow.
Some more of the pictures, this is kind of showing that I can shoot more than just theater stuff. I can actually light myself. This was an interesting picture because each line here, this is Rochester, these are the Rochester lights. At Christmas time, they have the Rochester lights. Each line here is about 20 pictures long, about 20 pictures, separate pictures. Because I shot this one, I walked over, shot this area, then I shot this area, then this, and just walked down. It was bitterly cold, I remember. And it took about 2 years for me to get this right.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that's probably 2, 4, there's about 80 pictures in this one picture, separate pictures. This is Royal Park. I'm looking into doing a lot more architectural kind of pictures, photographs. And this is actually right across the street from where I live. And this one just turned out beautiful. I did a lot of work on this because there are lines that go through here, power lines. I had to take all those out. I had to do, a lot of stuff to get this right. So I'm really happy how that one turned out.
Nice.
There's Meadowbrook Hall. I've been told I'm not supposed to do that, take the picture of that, but it's easier to get forgiveness than permission.
Agreed.
Unless you're Kwame. And this is Frank Rewald and Sons. They're building right down the street from where I live.
Okay.
So, and this is downtown Detroit. I'll go through these pretty quickly.
Beautiful sky on that one too.
Yeah. And this is just downtown Detroit, but I really like the colors on this. It balances real well. The yellows here just really pop. I really like that. This I did last Halloween, and it's up north of Rochester. There's a place called Dunn's Tomb, and when I was in high school, this was the place that we went and scared our friends, and it was the scary place. So I went and shot that, and I put the Raven in, I put the balloon in, which I shot at Players. I put the skull in. I mean, it was a lot of fun to put together. And I shot some boxing, and this is getting more into my artsy, painting. It's a little bit Leroy Neiman kind of look. This is one of my favorite pictures of all time. This is His Gloria in Switzerland. It's where the James Bond movie Honor Her Majesty's Secret Service was shot.
Okay.
And so I was up there. I love to travel, and this was just the picture just pops. And if you look way down here, this little bitty building, that building is bigger than Village Players. It's that far away. This little bitty thing right there, that's bigger than Players building. But you got you got to take a coach to it. This is the only, I think it's about the only truly HDR picture I shot.
Okay.
And this is in Naples. And I just liked how those buildings the color of this is the UP. I shot this last summer, and just turned out really nice. I mean, I'm closer to home. This is Paint Creek Cider Mill, right down the street from my house.
Right.
And it really looks like a painting, an illustration. This is, Coney Island in Detroit. And I did a lot of work on this. The basic thing was very flat. It was raining at the time. And I put in all the lights. I put all the highlights back here. I put lights down here to make it look like it's, throwing light. So I put a lot of work into that one. This one is Zurich. This is the Zurich train station. It was kind of a iffy, yucky kind of picture. But I started playing with it with my paint program, and I really like how it turned out. And it's like, oh yeah, I can really do something. And that is the end.
I think I
had
know
to put your picture in there at the end, yeah.
Oh, love it. That's Into the Woods.
That's Into the Woods, yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Okay, I'm going to stop this now.
Well, we appreciate that. Hey, Joe, I've got a couple more questions for you, if you don't mind, because I know people are tuning in, wanting to know more about photography in general.
Yeah.
So do you have any suggestions for our audience out there to, some simple things to improve their photography?
First thing, there's a couple things. First of all, learn your camera. I still have my first camera. I still carry the instruction book, the how to do it. I'm always looking at that going, oh, I didn't know it could do that. So learn your camera real well. Understand aperture, exposure, shutter speed, ISO. Learn all that. I mean, there's YouTube channels that do that, and it's just, you can learn a lot through that. Main thing is take it off program. Put it on manual. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. I mean, that stopped me for a lot of years. I was so afraid of making mistakes that I didn't try anything. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Like I've said, the most important things I've ever learned in life, I've learned through mistakes. I didn't get it right the first time. So try things. Look at other photographers or even other artists that you admire, that you like their picture. Find out something that you like, and then try to emulate it. If they did a certain thing, try to do it, and try to, just stretch yourself. You're not going to fail. You're just going to learn, So that's the main thing, is just take pictures.
Got it.
Lots and lots of pictures.
So with photography, Joe, if you were talking to someone just starting out, what's the one thing that you would tell them to really focus in on to master first? Tough question.
Yeah, I would say understand. First of all, I would not worry about color. Shoot black and white.
Okay.
Black and white's very important to learn because color, you can make a lot of pictures good if they're in color. If they're in black and white, you have to understand composition. And one of the main things I tell people when they're shooting is learn the rule of thirds, which is you take your frame, cut it into thirds this way and this way. If you put your important person in one of these four corners in the middle, that's going to make a good composition. It really does. You'll have a subject here and then empty space over there. I mean, rule of thirds is really important to learn. And then understand how to get a good exposure and understand depth of field and all that.
Got it. Well, Joe, you answered a lot of questions for a lot of photographers out there, and we got to learn more about you, which I think was a lot of fun tonight. So thank you so much for your time and for joining us. And again, Joe's website is, Joe, go ahead.
www.joelease.com.
So visit that if you want to know even more about Joe and look at some more of his work. So with that, we're going to wrap up for tonight. I want to say thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed yourself and you would like to donate to Birmingham Village Players, please visit our website, which is www.birminghamvillageplayers.com, and you can click on the support tab at the top of the page. Or you can click that PayPal link right down there on this, right to the side of your chat feature down there. And please don't forget to sign up for our YouTube channel. Now, coming up on August 27th on this channel here, we are going to be having the premiere of Matzebrai, which is an original Playwrights at Work through Village Players, one act that is set in movie format. And that'll be premiering at 7 p.m. So please feel free to join us on our YouTube channel for that. And you can even set up an alert for that, and it'll come right to your phone the day of. And then also, if you go to our website, you can sign up for our trivia night on August 28th, and you can buy tickets online for that. I believe tickets are $10 each. I would like to thank Joe Lease for sharing his time and expertise with us, Noel Montalis for his behind-the-scenes tech expertise, and Village Players for allowing us to air this workshop. Remember, my friends, we are just in the middle of a very long intermission for live theater. The show will go on, and we hope to see you soon. Until then, please be safe and have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I don't know her.